and welcome to Round Robin. I'm your host, Robin McCormick with the City of Hampton, and November is a month that has been designated as National Novel Writing Month. So we have some tips, some workshops, and some motivation to get you writing. My guests are both from the Hampton Library. Welcome, Adele Gardner and Rita Scrivener. Thank you.
Thank you.
Writing is hard. Like, I'm a professional writer. I'm from this background, but it's very hard. Everybody, you know, I have a book inside of me. It's been inside of me for a long time. How do I get it out? And why should I?
Well, one idea behind National Novel Writing Month is that if you're writing a lot in a very short period of time, you won't second guess yourself as much as you might otherwise. That if it's in such a compressed time frame, the goal is just to push through and just have something at the end and then go back and look at it later.
So it's kind of like brainstorming, where you get everything out and then you go back and see what's valuable and do some cleanup later. Mm-hmm. And it's like doing it as a group. Why is that, you know, a good thing?
When you have the support of your peers, everybody is working together. If you get stuck, you turn to your fellow writers. You can have writing buddies if you sign up at the website. And just the sheer fact that you've got so many people working on the same goal. They've got pep talks from famous writers. One of my favorite writers, Jim Butcher, Diana Gabaldon, she's the writer of the Outlander series. She just wrote an essay. You know, they share writing tips and also encouragement. How to keep going even when you just want to quit.
So two different reasons. One is it's like having a workout buddy. Someone is depending on you and you're working together to do this. You don't want to let them down. Even if you're ready to quit yourself, you've got somebody else who's working with you. But then the other thing is this, I mean, there's a lot of tips and resources out there right now. And so if you can capitalize on that, you can kind of keep yourself moving forward. Mm-hmm. Why is the library involved in this effort? What are you guys doing?
Well, we've had a couple of workshops already, and we're going to have a few more. And we're trying to kind of let people know that we're a space where they can come and write. And we have resources all year round. We have a dedicated writer's resource collection, some of which is available for checkout. And people can use that all year round to try to jumpstart their writing, to try to find inspiration if they're stuck, that kind of thing. But then during this month of November, we also have some special events set aside for writers. We have 3 workshops coming up Mondays at 6 o'clock. And they're each going to focus in on a different aspect of the writing process and how different types of writing can relate to writing a longer work like a novel.
Cool. And when we say novel, we really mean long piece of writing. You're talking about, it could be fiction, it could be nonfiction, it could be long-length poetry. I mean, there's a real variety of things out there that would count.
For the National Novel Writing Month, they're really focusing on the prose aspect, the fiction aspect, but with our workshops, we're bringing in people who are creative in a literary way, regardless of what genre they're working in. We're giving them a little bit of a push in things like short stories, poetry, and creative nonfiction, but we're also showing them how this can tie into writing a novel. So there are a lot of short story writers who want to write a novel, but it's so long, it's very daunting. Mm-hmm. But from the structure of the short story, you can learn a lot about how to pace and plot your novel. Poetry can also inspire you to delve deeper into your character's motivations. It could just be a spark that teaches you more about the world of your characters, lets you speak in their voice, and there are actually verse novels out there. So just like you said, there are books of linked short stories that are actually treated as novels. There are actually books of poetry that are treated as novels now. And creative nonfiction reads like a novel, but it's actually true. So
okay, so for those who, what does creative nonfiction mean?
Well, of course, nonfiction is only things that are true, but what's different about creative nonfiction is the way that it's presented, is that it also depicts true events, but it does it in a way that uses some of the tools of fiction in order to engage the reader in a different way. So it would use things like setting, plot, characterization, dialogue. It would use elements that would make it more exciting to read. And of course, nonfiction is wonderful too, and many talented writers work in that field, but then creative nonfiction kind of adds another option or another aspect that people could consider in order to present a true story in an exciting way.
Cool.
And we were speaking earlier about the writer's space that we have upstairs, the Inspiration Zone. That's open anytime the library is, but after each workshop, the workshops themselves are half an hour, then we have a short break, and then we have a write-in. And the concept here is that the writers get together, they're all working away in the room. You can't believe how powerful it is, how much energy you get just from sitting in a room full of writers and writing along with them. And it just helps you keep going. So we're going to have some mood music, a few refreshments, and writers are going to join us. That's what the library is really all about. We wouldn't have the library without writers. So.
That's true. I haven't thought about that, but yeah, we're all about those books and what other people have written. So I guess the question is, can we contribute to that body as well?
And some New York Times bestsellers have come out of books written during National Novel Writing Month. So when someone starts there, they don't know where they'll end up. It could be anywhere.
That's really cool. And as you said, we're really not talking about necessarily a completed novel in the month. The goal is to write how many words?
50,000 words.
That sounds like a lot of
It is a lot.
I don't think I could do that, in a 1 month time.
It takes a lot of dedication.
Yeah, I bet. Especially if you have a full-time job. It's, kind of everything else that you do. Now, okay, I don't know how many words are in the average novel. So is that half? Is that a third?
Just a little bit over half. Usually the average novel these days, it's about 85,000 to 100,000 words, more or
I'm
less.
going to go for young adult fiction because they're a little shorter.
65,000.
Not all of them.
You could actually finish a young adult novel. 50,000 words, that would be long enough for a young adult novel.
See, that's my goal. We're going small here. Well, how do you, just let's offer a few kind of writer's tips in general to get people motivated, maybe get them to the Monday workshops. How do you get started? How do you tell people, okay, here we're going now. How do we do it?
Well, there's a wonderful book called If You Want to Write. And I'm not a writer myself, but I'm a big fan of people who can do it. And I have written a lot of school papers, though. And there was something in this book that really changed how I feel about the writing that I have had to do. And the author said that writing is just talking on paper. And I feel like a lot of times it's very hard for us to present ourselves and what we want to say as we would if we were just talking. And we tend to think that writing has to sound a certain way or has to impress people or be flowery or things like that. It's so easy to fall into that trap of thinking that we don't sound right. And it's actually very hard to just sound like yourself when you're writing.
It is. It's hard to be natural. I think people almost automatically adopt a more formal tone.
And sometimes that's appropriate, but when it comes to writing something like this, that should be, from the heart, then it can be very hard, surprisingly hard, to sound like yourself.
Okay. Now, Adele, you're actually doing this, right?
Yes, I am. In answer to your question, I would say pick the thing that you're most passionate about and figure out what's the one thing that you most want to say. Always start from the top, the most important thing to you to get out there. What speaks to you, and follow it wherever it leads. Don't let your inner editor tell you that it sounds silly, because odds are it doesn't, and your passion will be conveyed to someone else, and that's why they'll read your book.
Okay, so can you tell us about the book you're writing?
It's a mystery novel. It's a pair of detectives. One of them is a World War II veteran, and the other one is his daughter he married later in life. And it's called the Golden Age Detective Agency. And they're not your typical private investigators. They basically take on cases that help people that no one else might necessarily touch, because these are, a lot of retirees, other veterans. They may be looking for a buddy who they lost touch with during the war, want to find out what happened to him. It's going to be a combination of World War II era flashbacks and modern day.
So how did you start? What came to you about this?
Why did I start writing it? I actually started writing it in tribute to my father when he passed away. He was a World War II veteran, and I wanted a chance to spend more time looking into his past. Like many World War II veterans, he didn't like talking about the war much.
Yes.
So I got very interested in trying to find out more about this experience that helped shape him and his whole generation. And I just love that generation, the greatest generation. That name is perfect for them. So this will also allow me, I hope, to have a chance to maybe speak with other veterans about their experiences. And there's the Library of Congress actually has a program of recording the stories of World War II veterans. I'd like to try to help with that.
That's really cool. So that's what you mean when you say pick your passion or follow your passion, figure out what you're excited about, and then use that, to sort of unravel further down that path. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay. Any other tips? Anything else you want to say about National Novel Writing Month before we close?
Just keep going. Don't edit yourself. The editing comes later.
Just keep swimming. Just keep
going.
swimming. And that's important to remember too, because I think we do. It's down on paper, and so the tendency is to look back and criticize, or to go backward instead of to keep going forward. So you're saying brainstorm it all out, let it out, and then go back later.
Exactly.
And look at it and figure out what to do with it once it's out there. Okay, well, thank you both very much. Good luck on your novel. Good luck on your workshops. One of these days, I'll join you in this effort.
We'll do this every year, so someday you'll write your novel too.
Okay, I'll plan ahead this time. Thank you very much. And thank you for watching. I hope if you want to write 50,000 words, or if you just want to be around writers and start the process, you can join the library during November on Monday evenings. Thanks for watching.